So our first sort of taste of foul play begins with the mission, A Fallen Idol, showcasing that there's some very dark themes in this game beyond what you would normally expect from a video game. And it first becomes apparent as you investigate the actual scene of the crashed vehicle, laid out on the trunk is your first sort of clue. You have a bag, and you have
they've been torn off. Where did you find them? They were stuffed in the young lady's handbag.
so basically a pair of torn
I'll run a trace for
knickers,
semen when I get back to the lab.
which the coroner or investigator is going to run a trace for semen, indicating any kind of sexual activity. Second piece of item is a letter.
She's a long way from home.
So those two clues are kind of an indication of a very dark undertone to this particular mission. Okay, the second part of the case is where we interview the first person who is the injured party here. She's a feisty actress, but there's a sinister undertone when talking to her.
Mrs. McAfee, we would like to ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
I prefer to use my maiden name, June Ballard. You might be familiar with some of my work.
Can you tell us what happened here?
Apart from
You're
flirting,
kind of
she makes some
cute.
serious allegations.
Maybe a bit on the serious side.
What about me, June? I'm a big fan of
You?
beasted.
I don't like. Keep out of this.
So, we ask her about the doping allegation.
We understand that you're still suffering from the effects of the accident, Mrs. McAfee. The officer says that you claimed that you were drugged. Who did this to you?
That rat slipped us a Mickey Finn. It's no wonder I feel so dopey.
And she's talking about Mickey Finn, which is a kind of lacing drug that was used in drinks, that men would put in drinks, and it would knock people out. They could drag them off somewhere and do something with them. So there's a pretty serious allegation that they were drugged, her and her passenger, who's a minor. And I'm not talking about someone who digs in tunnels underground. I'm talking about a young girl of 15.
It's a serious offense to withhold information from the police during a criminal investigation, madam.
I told you to call me June. You're making me feel like an old lady.
Now she doesn't seem too perturbed by her
Don't bother your
incident
handsome
that's
head
happened
about
to her,
this.
which is driven
My
off a
husband
cliff.
will settle the score with Mark Bishop.
So we'll ask her about the injured female passenger, you know, the young girl. She's a runaway, and she's looking for stardom in Hollywood.
What can you tell us about the passenger in your car?
Jessica Hamilton. Poor Jessica. It's been a rough day for her. She's desperate to break into movies. What more can I say?
And we'll leave it there, although we can actually press it further by saying she's lying.
Mrs. McAfee, I think something happened to Jessica yesterday before the crash.
I'm offended, Sunshine. Do you have any proof?
And the proof is that the underwear...
Miss Hamilton's underwear were physically torn from her body.
She wanted to go to a casting. I took her to a casting. Whatever happened after that is between her and Mark Bishop.
So basically what she's done is she's named a suspect, Mark Bishop. Now, she has taken this minor to a casting. She's obviously young, impressionable, and wants to make her way in the movies. So this is a pretty dark tone that an older woman who's in the movies has taken a younger woman to some person called Mark Bishop. Now what happens backstage, and she's saying there's nothing to do with her, is, well, you'll find out.
You mentioned a Mark Bishop. You think he might have had something to do with this?
He is a movie producer. As for his involvement, you just leave it to me.
So we'll leave it at there for now, and we'll go and see now Hamilton, the young girl, in hospital. So we make it to the hospital where we were about to interview the young girl, Hamilton, who's just come around out of consciousness after the accident.
Hello, Detective Phelps, here to interview a Jessica Hamilton.
Jessica Hamilton. Oh, yes. She's in the room, right behind you, Detective. You can't hold
And before we go in, we'll talk to the doctor in charge here.
Hello, Doctor. I'm Detective Phelps. You're attending to the young lady from the auto accident?
Yes. She's conscious now, but I doubt she'll remember much. She's still feeling some of the after effects.
Jessica was drugged?
She certainly was. Chloral hydrate would be my guess, and there's clear evidence of abuse. She's still a minor, Detective.
Someone planned a double murder to cover up a statutory rape? Swap 7 years for life and gets Guy McAfee on their case? Doesn't make much sense to me.
I guess it depends on what they had to lose.
So already you've got some serious situation here. You have a minor who's been raped. She's been drugged. She's been taken to a casting house where this has potentially happened. So already you formed a dark picture of the movie industry in 1940s LA, and some of the lengths some people will go to.
Feeling better since this morning, Jessica?
A little. My head still feels swimmy.
And we can look at her notes. You'll see that she's had a head trauma, which is stained in the car accident. There's traces of the drug in her bloodstream, and she's got bruising to her genitals and other evidence of criminal abuse. Pretty serious stuff. And not the kind of themes that you're kind of getting in typical video games.
You're making me
So
uncomfortable.
the interview itself,
Standing around here looking
there's a
at
very
me,
frightened young
saying
girl
anything.
here.
Hello, Jessica. My name is Cole Phelps. I'm a policeman. I'd like to talk to you about your accident, if that's okay.
Okay.
So during the interview, we kind of ascertained that she's a runaway. She was led somewhere by her friend who was going to introduce her to the movie producers, and that, you know, she's not a virgin, she claims, but she seems very deluded with the whole situation of becoming a movie star in LA. So we'll leave it there for now and move on to the next kind of moment. But obviously this is a very serious case now. So we'll speak to Jessica now and see what kind of response we get from her. But there's a lot of lying going on.
Can you tell me what you remember about the crash?
It's all kind of fuzzy. I remember waking up here. Nothing happened yesterday.
And we know that's a lying. We've got evidence to prove that.
Tell the truth, Jessica. Why the big cover-up?
I'm not lying to you.
So the underwear reveals that something did happen. And that's what we're going to present to her now.
We found your underwear in your handbag, Jessica. You need to tell us what happened.
The doctor told me what happened. I didn't want that. I just wanted to be a star, to be in movies. I told Junie what happened, and she told me to toughen up. That was the price of stardom.
Did she now, cold-hearted bitch?
It's not Junie's fault. It's not my first time. I had a boyfriend back home, but my father found out about him.
Even if you consented, Jessica, you're still underage.
So that's pretty dark stuff there. That Julie, the other crash victim, you know, has told her that she needs to toughen up, needs to grow up a bit if she's to make it in Hollywood. And if that means sleeping around with influential movie producers, etc., then so be it. But that's pretty tough. So we're going to leave this now here and move on to kind of the next scene in this particular case, which highlights the questionable activities in the movie industry in 1940s Los Angeles. So our next encounter is with the wife of Mark Bishop, who's a suspect in the murder, or attempted murder. We're going to interrogate her now after she had a break-in and her apartment's been ransacked. Now she does reveal some pretty interesting revelations about the movie industry, as we're about to find out.
Those men, I think they work for Guy McAfee. Do you know the name?
No. Why should I?
June Ballard is married to Guy McAfee. Have you heard of her?
That slut. She's been badgering my husband for days.
Mrs. McAfee alleges that your husband tried to kill her and her friend last night. I think you should tell us what you know.
My husband's a movie producer. This has something to do with his new picture. He doesn't include me in his business.
June Ballard said she had a deal to be in his new picture.
Mark repeatedly told her no. He had Joan Leslie lined up for the role. That's how he got the finance. June made all kinds of threats. She was very rude to me.
You know June Ballard?
We were both on the same picture a few years back. That's how I met my husband.
So there's a definite history with June Ballard, the other victim, and the fact that she's wanting to star in this latest movie. It's also been revealed that she's basically sold out the young girl to help her get the part in this new movie.
Where can we find your husband, ma'am?
He told me he would be on set. That's all I know.
Either we find him or McAfee's people do, Mrs. Bishop. If you care for him, you should make sure that we find him first.
I do care for him. But I don't really know where he'd go if he were in trouble. Hopgood might know.
So we'll ask about the real serious issue now of the abuse of the minor, and her response is very revealing and a telling tale indeed.
Your husband was at a casting yesterday with a young girl?
Not that I know of. He told me he was looking at locations. The picture's been cast.
Jessica remembered a mermaid. The mermaid on the front of the prop store. You better come clean with me.
This is a sick town, Detective. Are you sure you really want to know? The truth is, my husband likes them young.
And you think that's okay?
I was 16 when I first met him. I thought he was a genius, a magician with film. I was 20 before I realized he was just a B-movie hack. But he's nothing compared to some of the monsters at these big studios. My guess is Ballard sacrificed her little friend. Happens to a lot of girls.
And there we have it. The kind of telltale evidence that the industry is pretty sickening. And the fact that this particular woman was bowled over in a similar way, has become desensitized to it and is a bit nonplussed to the whole situation. So we'll move on from this situation, and we'll head to the location where the alleged rape, etc. took place. Next scene is a very different and dark situation as we enter the silver screen props. things begin to take shape here as we enter his
Phelps and Bukowski,
evil
LAPD.
abode.
We're investigating the attempted murder of June Ballard and Jessica Hamilton.
Christ. I'm Marlon Hopgood. How can I help?
You hold castings here?
How'd you hear about that? I got a little soundstage out back.
Lead the way.
We heard that from his wife, so at least she was useful for something.
So you
So as you walk through his abode, you can see lots of props. This is his business, but it's a bit unusual for him to have his own soundstage out the back, as he puts it. What could it be used for? And this is the place where the rape took place.
Keep him here, Stefan. I'm going to take a look around.
What's this got to do with me?
Phelps is about to find out some very dark secrets contained within the walls here.
Turn off the lights, Hopgood.
Why would I want to do that?
Humor him.
One-way mirrors. There's a room on the other side.
Huh. Well, well. Find a way into that peep den, Phelps. I'll stay here and keep our pervert company.
So, a room behind the wall with a one-way mirror, enabling him to secretly film what's going on.
So this is where you sprang from.
Incriminating mold of the shrunken head. And a dodgy wall that isn't really a wall. It can be broken into. A common prop in movies. And we enter the secret room with the camera. Pictures of women. And a film reel.
Jungle Drums, 8th and Francisco. Attention, Mark Bishop.
And now what really kind of nails the whole dark theme and dark tone of this particular case is the following empty film reel of Jessica Hamilton, the 15-year-old girl who was raped and obviously filmed, and the
What
film
happened to the film of Hamilton's screen test?
is missing. So who's got that film? Sickening stuff. And if we just head back now to here, you'll see that there's another mirror looking in at the toilet. Obviously where the women get, well, women do what they're doing on the toilet. They can be viewed without knowing that they're being watched. Some pretty perverse stuff taking place in this horrible, dingy backstage area of a prop shop. And one final piece of the puzzle, if you could have looked at earlier, before we question him, are the drugs which have been used to dope and pacify.
A 15-year-old kid and abusing her in a screen test. What is wrong with these people?
So there's a lot of stuff here, and now Hopgood is put on the spot.
McAfee's men are looking for Bishop. We need to find him first. Any idea where he might have gone to ground?
If he really tried to kill McAfee's wife, my advice to him would be to leave town.
You're delivering props to jungle drums on 8th Street?
Bishop is using that old rundown wreck of a set. That place is dangerous. But it might be a good spot to hide.
You ever do any work for Mark Bishop?
Mainly do work for the studios. RKO, Republic, Warner Brothers. So yeah, when Bishop is doing work for a studio, yes.
When did you last see him?
Now I'm doing work for his next picture. Still pre-production though. Haven't seen him around here in a while.
I know you're lying, Hopgood.
So he's obviously lying.
Bishop was
You
here.
have
and
evidence
you
to
know
say that he
exactly
has
what
been
was
there.
doing and what he left lying around afterwards.
You come in here without a warrant and now you start throwing your weight around?
A 15-year-old girl told me how she was drugged and molested at a casting house. I found the chloral hydrate in your drinks cabinet. You give me something or I will break your fucking jaw, Hopgood.
Bishop was here with June, Ballard, and the girl. A lot of producers and directors use this place. I'm not responsible for what goes on here.
And there we have the kind of
What's the deal
picture
with
that's
you
going
and June
on here.
Ballard?
Look, buddy, I make props. I hardly ever meet the talent unless it's something tailor-made for them, like a sword or something.
You and Ballard are blackmailing Bishop.
And basically,
That's why he cracked.
to nail this guy,
You got nothing
the
on me.
slime ball,
My hands are clean on this.
we have the evidence to prove he has a relationship with Julie Ballard, which is the empty film canister.
Enough. I've been in your peep room, Hopgood. I've seen your smut pictures and the camera setup. You made a movie of Jessica. I found the canister.
The deal is I get to sell the movies to burlesque houses and private collectors. These movie guys love seeing their cocks on screen. But part of the arrangement is I never film their faces. June had me film Bishop, and then she kept the movie for insurance. He went apeshit when he realized his face was front and center.
Who has the film now?
Who else? McAfee.
And there we reveal a plot of blackmail, lots of money involved, but an extremely seedy side of the movie industry. Now, how much truth is in this particular story, we won't know, but it's pretty feasible that stuff like this did happen, and who knows if stuff like this happens today. Probably not, but this is the 1940s.